Now this is actually a working model. Before we get into the making part of this video, let us do a thought exercise. Just imagine if Thanos were to snap his fingers and wish all of the screws or anything related to its mechanism disappeared from the world. Would that be enough to bring mankind to a standstill? A bit of an exaggeration maybe, or is it? Just think about it. Where do we find screws? Almost everywhere, from smartphones to satellites. Even these eyeglasses I'm wearing, it's got tiny screws that are holding things together in place. These screws come in all sizes, from less than a millimeter to big bulky ones. And I know that the big bulky ones are called bolts, but bear with me. The point I'm trying to make is about the structure. That simple helical shape like a spiral wrapped around a cylinder. For ages, we have used this design as a fastener, something that holds or joins two things together. But that is not the only thing that this shape can do. It is far more versatile. Ever wondered who first came up with this idea? Turns out there are no historical records and the concept itself may be over 2000 years old. Now before anyone jumps into alien astronaut theories, let's admit that people before us were brilliant too. Just because something was not documented, it doesn't mean it was the aliens. That is just my thought. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Moving on with the subject, this helical design also appears in drill bits where it is used to move material through a hole. The arrangement, material and the purpose may be different, but the underlying geometry remains similar. Different variations and applications just get new names, but that's mostly for convenience and for industry application. And that brings us to one of the most remarkable uses of this design, the Archimedes screw. Yes, the same Archimedes who gave us a principle that led to the understanding of density as mass divided by volume. He designed a screw that could move water. That is mind-blowing. But later versions were used to move grains and other material. Lifting solids uphill is one thing, but lifting water, that was revolutionary. Yes, indeed it was. And this design helped solve a lot of irrigation and drainage problems, something we struggle with even today. And this became an engineering milestone over 2000 years ago. Just imagine that. I love recreating old forgotten inventions and explore science in simple, fun ways, and this video is one such attempt. In this video, I'm going to attempt two versions of Archimedes screw, one to move solids and another to move water. It's a simple concept you can try with your kids or your students, a great way to demonstrate a few science ideas in an afternoon. And now it is time to gather some household material and start building. Getting started, we need some tubes. In this case, I'm using these transparent water leveling tubes. We don't need as much, but I will cut it to length once I figure out how much I need. We also need some kind of a plastic pipe, in this case a PVC pipe, to wind this tube on to this pipe in a helical fashion. Okay, like that. But here is the problem. The diameter of this pipe is about half an inch and the tube is getting pinched here, which means it will reduce the flow of water and thus reduce the efficiency of the apparatus. Might as well use a bigger pipe. Here is something interesting that I've stumbled upon. This pipe is about 1 inch in diameter and about 12 inches in length. So how much tube do you actually need to wind it tightly onto this pipe? Turns out that it is, let me just measure it for you. 1, 2, it seems we may need about 10 feet of this water leveling tube to wrap around this 1 foot 1 inch diameter pipe. Let me just add some hot glue on the outer rim of this pipe to get started. I'm winding the tube over the pipe carefully, making sure not to pinch the tube to the full length of the pipe and secure the top end of the tube with hot glue to avoid it from unwinding. For the first test, I filled a transparent glass bowl with colored water. I'm inserting the apparatus in the water and started rotating it in its axis. The tube is too narrow and the surface tension between water and the walls of the tube is opposing the flow of water. And water is just dripping and not flowing. Let's understand what is happening here. Each and every time the apparatus rotates, it scoops a little bit of water with each of these turns. The water accumulated here is not more than 3 to 5 milliliters. When it rotates again, the previously accumulated water climbs up into the other loop. So by the time the water reaches here, it will be just 3 to 5 milliliters dropping out of this end. So in this particular case, size does matter. Therefore, I've made something like this, which each turn the water is climbing up, another turn. I'm just hoping it reaches the top. So the water has reached the top and now we get water. The tube design is not very efficient, and that's because water likes to stick to itself and also to the walls of the container, and in this case the tube itself. Although we barely got it to work, but it is not very efficient. Therefore, it's time for build number 2. Before that, your support helps this channel grow and your comments fuel my passion. The content on this channel has been appreciated by a lot of students as well. So please go ahead and subscribe, and let us not forget that we have a comment section here where we can interact and exchange ideas. Okay? For the next model, I am cutting concentric circles of uniform size from a foam core board. Those plastic corrugated boards which people leave on your gates for promotions are practically free and can be used as well. After this, I did something that failed, but I do have a solution. I used a 3mm rod as a spine to thread the circles cut from the foam core board. But even the slightest distortion intended for this design was causing them to snap like cookies. But it was workable once I increased the size of the inner diameter. The circular rings were slid on the pipe as shown. The idea is to glue the tail end of one piece to the start of the next piece and space them evenly. Superglue does a fine job on foam core boards. Once I had about 8 rings, I secured all the joints with hot glue just to be sure. Now we need a larger tube with tight fit to slide this mechanism into. Transparent acrylic tubes are fun to watch, but they are way too expensive. So I decided to make an improvised tube using OHP sheets. I wrapped it on this mechanism loosely so that it can rotate without any resistance while keeping it a close fit, and secured it with sticky tape. I filled up the ball this time with colored thermocol beads. They are lightweight and wouldn't destroy the apparatus itself. Also, it's colorful and it's fun to watch. In order for this apparatus to work properly, we need to place it in a slanting angle. But if we do that, there is not sufficient thermocol balls. So what we'll do is we'll tilt the container like so, and it will be easier to work and you can also see it better. This time the outer tube is held in place while the inner structure is rotated, and after a few spins, the contents reach the top and spill out. You can see all the thermocol balls coming out, and this, my friends, is a model of Archimedes screw. So this, my friends, is a very simple, anybody can make version of an Archimedes screw, and you can make this project and demonstrate your science skills. Now that we have achieved what we wanted to for this video, I want to try one more thing. You know, this is a PVC pipe and this helical shape is made out of foam core board. Both of this material are waterproof. I've also used hot glue to secure all the joints. So in a way, this entire structure at this point of time is watertight. So what I'm thinking is use one of these OHP sheets and wrap it around this structure and glue it up watertight. And then maybe we can try this to move water like we did before and watch what happens. For this, I'm going to use a slow drying glue like a B7000, and it's got a really nice and thin nozzle. So that way we can apply exactly on the lining here and leave it to dry for about 24 hours. Oh my god, this is working better than the tube version. I didn't quite expect this, but it is much better. Oh my god, it's working. Now this is actually a working model of the Archimedes screw. This was my eureka moment because I set out to try the concept and make a frugal proof of concept version of a 2000-year-old apparatus. But during the course of this build, I cracked a simple method to make this Archimedes screw in less than 100 Indian rupees, about $1 for international reference. All it needs is a piece of foam core board, a foot of half-inch PVC pipe, OHP sheets, and some kind of quick-setting non-water-based glue. It doesn't get easier than this, does it? Hope you like the content. Stay curious, make something new. Once again, please don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in another interesting video very soon. Until then, bye-bye.